Internet gods?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Am I moving? Is the stream holding together?
Is there a
How's
spinning
everybody
wheel?
doing out there? Welcome to another episode of the HVAC Overtime show. I almost forgot the name of our show, guys. How bad is that?
Any technical difficulties? No.
Not yet. It's holding together. I think the
good.
ship is holding together. So, anyways, guys, thanks for showing up. We got 32 some odd people here watching. Before I forget, guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. That helps the YouTube overlords promote our channel to lots of unsuspecting viewers who could become our new viewers. So, anyways, let's get through this here. You guys all know me, Curious HVAC Guy. And 6 feet to my left, we have Mr. Adam from A-Team Adam. 6 feet to my right, even though he's in the middle, we got Mr. Joe Canada, HVACR North. And I'm sure a majority of you guys out there already know that we have a fancy little Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, go over there, click on the membership button, become a member. We'll let you in. We don't really care who comes and joins us. We're all about numbers over there. So come join us. Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, like I said, everything else that you see. And I almost forgot this last week. We forgot to give a shout out to our number one fan, Mr. Randy. Mr. Randy and his little buddy Luke. Luke, if you can hear me, bark twice, all right?
Roof.
And let's scroll through. Who's watching here tonight? Looks like we got a bunch of people in here tonight. 38 now. It's skyrocketing. Our viewership is almost doubled. Oh, we got bigclive.com. If you guys aren't already aware of who this Mr. Big Clive guy is, you need to become aware. Go into the YouTube search engine, look up bigclive.com. I would post his link at the bottom here, but I can't do so right now. But go find Mr. Big Clive. He's actually doing a live stream tomorrow, and it's on about 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever time that is for you. I don't know. But very, very interesting guy. Very, very interesting. Yep. He's kind of like if you were to take me and Bigfoot and mix it in with Sean Connery, that's basically Big Clive.
Basically, his emojis somewhat like it.
Pretty much, yeah. It's his avatar there sums him up.
He's got quite the following, right?
Yeah, he's got a couple people following him, like 14, 15 people.
Yeah,
something like that.
Out. That's why he's highlighted.
People, I mean. Looks like we got Jessica's watching, Clint, Wild West HVAC, Mr. Randy Ravioli,
Hoser,
HVAC Residential Basics. Steve's is here. Oh yeah, Hoser. I see Hoser. Grandpa is here. Shannon, who wears his sunglasses at night for some reason.
Just
I don't
like
know about people.
Bill. Just like
people wearing sunglasses all the time, you know.
Right? Like who does that?
Not me.
Mr. Ted, anti-DIY, is in the house with us tonight.
Good day.
Ted sent over some pictures. We have a few.
Cool.
Yep.
Who did?
Ted.
Oh, very cool.
Ted is also helping me. He's assisting me trying to find a part for my car.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of my car, check this out. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you have something important to say?
I do. Something very, very important. For all of you guys out there that don't know, Sunday is Mother's Day.
Yes.
So if you want to be in the doghouse, don't listen to me. But if you don't want to be in the doghouse, go out and get your mom something before it's Sunday morning and you got to run to the gas station to get her whatever you can find at the gas station and give it to her.
Yeah.
Send her out some flowers. So shout out to all the moms out there. My mom, if you're listening, thanks for being such a great mom. There's a present in the mail, but I sent it kind of late, so look in the mail
Friday.
Probably on Tuesday, maybe.
Yeah. Special day. Even if it's not your own mother.
Special day.
Yeah. Friend. Day. Yep.
So back to my story.
Go ahead.
So Joe, and I don't know if Bill knows about my car. I know Joe knows I have an old car, right? Joe?
Nope, didn't know that.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
1967 Plymouth Fury 3.
Yeah.
1967?
Yep.
I had a 1967 Plymouth Belvedere.
Nice.
I love that car. 4-door, even though it's 4-door, it's still cool. And then I sold it.
Yeah. I don't want to sell it. I'm wondering if I'm going to ever get this back. So I found a repair shop near the family cottage, and this dude, I saw some of the cars he was restoring. It was like they were ridiculous. He was doing such a nice job, and I asked him, and he's like, "Well, I'm booked out for a long time." I'm like, "Well, can I call you in a couple months?" Yeah. So about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago in September, I brought the car there, and I was gonna have him remove the dashboard, replace the window seal in the back, do some windows and tires, do a little bit of mechanical work, replace the dashboard, send it out, do all kinds of like little stuff. Well, I didn't hear anything for almost a year. Okay. And then he's like, "Yeah, I have a bill from some small repairs I made." Okay. I pay the bill. And then several months go by, I call to check on it. And the guy's like, "Yeah, he doesn't work here anymore." I'm like, "What do you mean? He owns the place." "Yeah, I bought it from him." I'm like, "But my car's in there." And he's like, "Yeah, and I don't really work on old cars."
I don't work on
Oh
old
my God.
cars.
So we're just
And my
there.
car is like all torn apart sitting there.
Hi, Jessica. Wow. That's nuts. Poor car. Get it out of there.
Did you tell him like those are easier to work on than new cars?
Yeah, but
Was he a hipster? Was he riding a unicycle, smoking
no,
a pipe?
I don't know what the deal is. So anyways, he told me that the dashboard is in California. It's being sent out. They're going to send it back, blah, blah, blah. And they'll start putting everything together. He'll contact me.
What
Don't
was he
hear
doing in California?
that. It's like the only place that restores dashes like back to factory original. This place called Just Dashes. Just Dashes.
Just Dashes.
Yeah, give them a little plug. They're pretty
Dash.
cool. But yeah. So I don't hear anything. I finally called them the other day, and they said, "Yeah, well, you guys never paid for the dash, so it's sitting here." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll pay for it. Can you please send it out?" And he said, "Well, we didn't start work on it yet, and we have like a 2-month lead time." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" So that's my story. It's a non-HVAC.
Well-
Joe, and I just realized you're wearing your shirt backwards.
I wanted to. Why'd you point that out? What's the point? Not to point it out, dude. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know.
That's what happens when you get dressed in a mirror and you think that everything is reversed.
I want to, sometimes I want a V-neck. Sometimes I don't want a V-neck. I just turn it around.
I put my head on in the mirror and look what happened.
It's all right. Actually, that would have been a cool shirt if we would have had the logo bigger in the front, I think.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we should get some shirts someday. You know that?
Yep. For sure.
We
You know?
should.
Hey, anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand here. How was your guys' week? You guys do anything fun? You guys have any work?
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. I had work. Trying to work on a few other things ourselves too, like the title says, trying to maybe think of some projects. I know Adam was telling us he's working on a project. If you want to fill us in, Adam,
sweet.
what you're trying to work
You
on.
a thermal job?
No, well, yes and no. That job's kind of on hold for the time being. I'll probably start in a week or so again, start up with it. What I have been working on was an idea. Hopefully everything will be good. So I have a furnace in my garage that I hung. It has a coil on it. I never attached it to anything. Ted was giving me a hard time. Just run a line set and hook it up to a condenser. I had an idea though, and I wanted to try it. I'm sure there's other people out there that have tried this, but
Cool idea. Listen up, gents, for your garage.
what I did today was, this is what I did all day because I had no work today. I pumped back, all the refrigerant into the compressor. I ran a line set from the coil downstairs to right before the coil for my home. Okay. And I teed in the line set. I added a liquid line solenoid right before the coil on the outdoor, my garage unit, and then right before the coil on my house unit. Replaced the filter dryer, hooked everything up. I don't have it up and running quite yet. I'm not 100% done. It was a lot of work, which Joe, I used stick copper, K 10-footers for the 3/8 and the 3/4.
Right, so make sure I'm following you here. You put a T on it before it got to your indoor unit in your
Right.
house, right? And that liquid
Exactly.
line goes to the unit in your garage.
Yep. And then after the T is the solenoid for the indoor coil. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to spoil it. I'm hoping everything works out. I'm pushing the maximum line set length, I think, a little bit for the garage, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to hook up 2 relays. All right, wrap your mind around this, Joe. Ready? There's going to be 2 relays, or I'll just do a double. I just don't like those White Rogers ones that are so freaking loud. They sound like a gunshot going off, in my house. But yeah. So I'm gonna run. I have Y in common on the garage furnace. Run to the solenoid, right at the garage to open it up whenever there's a call for cooling. And then I have Y in common run downstairs. I'm gonna hook it up to either 1 or 2 relays, whatever. Normally open. The first relay is going to, what is it going to do? The first relay, there's going to be normally open. I'm going to take Y1 from the house and have a jumper through normally open to Y2. So if if my garage unit is calling and then the house unit turns on, it's automatically going to run into second stage, right?
Yeah. Because you were concerned. Why don't you tell you were concerned about what?
Capacity sounds like a big concern.
Right. So it's a, I can't remember what the capacity is on the 2-stage train. I was talking to Ted. He's like, it's either 70 or 80%. We'll see. I have a flex coil and I have a 3-ton drive in this furnace. So we'll see how what happens. I'm going to do a test where I'm going to check subcooling superheat while both units are running. And then I'm going to turn one of them off, check it again, and then turn the other one off, turn the other one back on, check it again, and just see what happens,
Cool.
Interesting.
We'll see. It's a little experiment.
For some reason, I'm thinking you may need I don't know. Do you have to add refrigerant? Because
I'm definitely going to have to add a refrigerant.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with that added refrigerant, I wonder if you're going to need to stick an accumulator on there.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe just to protect it, just for like a quick surge or oil slug or something. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I was thinking the same thing.
Couldn't hurt at that point.
Because I was telling Adam, I don't know if you were there, Bill, because I'm thinking of doing a little project myself, and I think Adam might as well, for domestic water to heat up a buffer tank with my compressor to run off, let's say, a diversion. Sporlan makes them like a diversion. I don't know what they're called. It's like a bypass valve. They use them on a lot of condominiums. They have one set of condensers going or the other set. Anyways, it's a diversion valve. So if I want heat going to my, let's say, a coaxial condenser for water, domestic water buffer tank, it'll direct the discharge to the coaxial. If I want AC, my AC is running, it's going to be in the AC. Now, in that circumstance, I was afraid of, let's say, liquid slugging or whatnot, because if one of them is not calling, I'll have, let's say, reverse flow back refrigerant. It'll flood my, let's say, my coaxial, or flood my condenser, and then that'll be a no-no. So I was thinking either putting they have those NRV check valves, refrigeration check valves, so only one direction flow. Maybe that. Maybe just putting a small accumulator on it. So just picture it. Discharge is going to be going to my condenser on that thermostat, and it's going to power my diversion valve to the coaxial to warm up water thermostat. So when that thermostat runs power to that diversion valve, it's going to open up, switch direction of the discharge, and heat up my coaxial condenser. So that's a little project I want to do, because I'll be doing some little side AC jobs just not too long.
My idea for that was a lot simpler. I was just going to take a used compressor and hook it directly up to a coaxial and have a recirc line into a buffer tank, right? But then I thought it would be pretty cool, I think, Joe, what you should do is just pull your compressor out, put it in your garage, leave the condenser fan outside running. Don't have anything in there, right? And your compressor, everything's going to be completely separate. Your outdoor unit's going to do nothing.
That's right.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to call your local heating and air company and just tell them you have a no cooling situation. Say the condenser's around back.
You know what though? That gave me a good idea though, Adam. That's a good idea to put the condenser and the fan outside, run discharge lines to inside. Anyways, it's a little project. I have a 110 I gotta do a change. I'll probably
Wait. Now I'm confused here. So your idea is to put the condenser and the fan outside and bring the compressor inside.
Yeah.
But what would be the purpose of doing so?
Well, or yeah, I guess so. I guess it doesn't make sense to do that. I guess inside the unit, I
Like
guess.
extra work, and then also you'd have to worry about the possibility of the compressor overheating because that fan.
But at that point, though, realistically, do you really even need to go switch back and forth? Why can't you just use a compressor and a coaxial, right? Like, why do you need to switch back and forth? Why do you need to even have the outdoor unit?
Well, because if I just want to do the project, so let's say you have AC on your house, and let's say it's
do something is what you're telling me,
right? Because let's say if there's a regular situation, you have AC on your house, you still want your AC going to your discharge going to your condenser, right? So instead of going to your condenser, if you want to heat up your water, run another thermostat on the water side and make it power that diversion valve.
Sometimes when guys are like coming off of an addiction, they have a hard time adjusting to real life, so they tend to find like projects to keep themselves busy and keep them from going back on the R22 sauce. You know what I mean?
True, it could be that, but you know what? Little things like this keep you focused on the trade and make you like make you think.
That's
you know what I mean?
Garage science, man. I got a ice machine sitting in my garage right now, and I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I have some ideas, but I want to do something cool with it, along with an R290 condensing deck with an evaporator built onto it too that I've highlighted in a few videos now. I got that just sitting in my garage. I want to do something epic with it, but I'm kind of limited, I guess, on things I can do with it, and I don't know. I just want to find something really cool and just let it run and see what happens. So
Big
I know
Five
John really is listening. John, send me a bunch of Nylog so I can do this.
Or you could leave the oil in and just add the Nylog, add a whole bottle of Nylog, and see how long you can keep something running with a whole bottle of Nylog with oil. Because a lot of people, they don't like Nylog because it contaminates the system, right? Add a whole bottle of Nylog, see what happens. It would be interesting to see, right?
That's true too.
Big Clive said a good question. What's the max temperature it'll get to? Definitely high. It'll keep on heating. It's hot. It's what coming out of the compressor, 140, 150, I don't know. So it'll get hot. So you would definitely need a thermostat or whatnot.
If you don't use your hot water though, I would almost worry about high head pressure, right? If it's just going to keep, what's going to happen? You would have to monitor. Because, I mean, think about it. Your air conditioning is going to want to satisfy the thermostat. Your tank's going to want to satisfy the thermostat and the tank. So, and what are you going to do if the tank's not satisfied? Are you going to do like a droop on it where it's like an overcool in your house so it satisfies the thermostat?
That's a good idea. Or could
sound like boiler talk.
This is the little things that are going to make you think when you're doing the project, right? Little things you got to think of. I know one guy that did something years back along the same lines, and I'm pretty sure it worked, but I don't think he added accumulator. That's what I was thinking. I wanted to add accumulator because I was worried about, refrigerant flooding other parts of one of the condensers and coming back.
I would make sure you have a high pressure switch.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So
for sure. But yeah, those are little projects. You'll see them in the making. I'm pretty sure yours as well.
So
the brain, keep you busy. Yeah.
The brain fart that I had goes back to Adam's project with the running his two systems off of that one condenser. What if you put like an EPR valve in there in place of like an accumulator? You think that would help out anything?
EPR valve. What's an EPR? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I said it again. I was reading something. Sorry.
Putting an EPR valve after each of those air handlers. The coils and the air handlers, put an EPR valve after each of them, because the EPR valve it'll maintain a certain pressure in the evaporator. So whatever refrigerant you're running, you just see what it is at 40 degrees evaporator temperature, and then put whatever EPR valve is that pressure.
Gotcha.
That'll just maintain that pressure in your in your evaporator at all times.
That's a
Kinda
good
like
idea.
yourself.
That's a good idea for that side. I was you just brought a good point. Even for the water side, I was going to put a I forget who makes it. It's a water, same thing. It keeps your water constant temp and constant pressure, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I was thinking of that, but maybe just controlling it with a valve in between my in and out. So little things you gotta think of, but that was a good idea, Bill.
Are you still sending me that coaxial?
Yes, I'll send you the coax because I know you want to try it too. See that? You want to try it too. Yeah, I'll send you it. I just gotta test. I gotta put on the pressure because, like I said, I don't know if it was leaked or if it was just a changeout and I just kept it for scrap. I don't know. So I gotta test it out, put on the pressure this weekend.
You know, since we're all on the same page of sharing our feelings and our ideas here, I had an idea this week of building a.
Shannon.
You guys know what a defrost clock is, right?
Yeah.
So my idea is to build a defrost, like a sort of a defrost clock display, have a defrost timer hooked up and just have like a plug coming off of it, plug it in, and then have like some light bulbs wired up to it, like a green one, a red one, you know, to indicate heating or refrigeration mode. Something that I can easily lay out and show brand new guys, like this is how the defrost cycle works. And it'll be a fully functional defrost clock. And like say when it goes into heat mode, into defrost mode, the red light will come on. And then I'll have a 3-way toggle switch to, you know, act as my defrost termination fan delay switch.
Cool.
And then when it goes into refrigeration mode, the green light bulb comes on.
Cool.
That's my
it's almost
idea for the
you know
week.
that's a good idea because you know it goes back to school. They had something similar to that, not like for the defrost stop, just for the whole
Refrigeration cycle.
Yeah. So, and I was telling somebody not too long ago,
Who are you
months back,
telling?
somebody that I was going to build something in my garage, just to tamper with, just want to do a little like again the same project. So I was going to do a little project like that, but I think I'm going to do this one instead because I'm getting that 1 ton, and I want to just do a little project, see what happens.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's a good idea, Bill. A lot of people don't understand the defrost clock, right?
Yeah, especially when you're new.
I'm
Yeah,
new.
absolutely.
I'm new. I don't know anything about refrigeration.
Well, when I build this defrost clock, I can show you, and then you'll know all about how they defrost.
We'll do a live Zoom meeting.
Yep, I can hold it
This-
up right here and be like, "This is defrost, light bulbs and such."
For somebody who knows how to wire relays and all this fancy stuff, Adam, I'm pretty sure one day at it, a couple days at it, you'll get it pretty quick.
You know what? What often bothers me is when you guys get heavy into your boiler talk, and your waterfalls and your water flow and your pressure tubes and whatnots, and I'm like, man, none of it makes any sense. Even like when residential guys start talking about like airflow and air design and heat
Oh,
load
yeah.
calculations, like none of that stuff. And it blows some people's minds out there when I admit this, that I don't know a lick about heat load calculations. Most airflow, I mean, I know static pressure. I know the theories behind it, but I don't use it on a regular basis. I don't measure airflow. I don't do duct calculations, duct sizing, none of that crazy stuff. So when you guys start rambling off about that, it's probably like the same as, I don't know, me talking about defrost clocks and whatnot.
Oh, I understand for sure.
You should put a defrost clock on your boiler. See what happens.
Yeah.
Defrost that bad boy.
But I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else that happened during the week.
Nope, everything that happened in my life is all a secret.
But you're picking up, right, Bill? You got a couple more calls this week. It's things picking up at work.
Work, man. Luckily, work is finally picked up this week.
Good.
You know,
Good
I had a pretty full week, and it was a bit unnerving because I just came off of like month or two of it being slow, a month or two of kind of going to bed whenever I want. Probably 2 or 3 days out of the week I could sleep in, not have to go to work at all. You know, and I go from that to all of a sudden I had a 50-hour week this week. I had to get up early every day. It's a sort of a tough adjustment.
It's different, right?
It was a little bit weird last week, like because usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock is when you stop responding to everyone talking back and forth through text message. Man, this guy was up late last week. All hours of the night, he keeps just talking away. Not this week, though.
Nope.
Back to it.
Which is good. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel real useless. Just real lazy.
I'm booked every day except Thursday next week, which is good. So we gotta try to fill in Thursday.
Yeah, see, now that means you got to go to bed on time, and it's hard to adjust to for me.
Yeah, I've been pretty bad lately. I've been averaging between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning every night.
I find myself getting to job sites, and I'll just sit in my van and like stretch and piss and moan for about 5 minutes before I go in there, and I'm like, oh God, I just want to take a nap.
Oh, I know.
I assume that's how Ted must feel every hour of the day, just angry and grumpy and sore all over and yelling at kids.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Don't touch my mailbox.
Big Clyde was saying his biggest electrical explosion was a defrost controller. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I seen that. I was wondering, how do you get a defrost controller to explode?
He was probably tampering with it, doing something with it. Who knows?
He probably put a capacitor on there to try to get that little defrost timer motor moving a little bit faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably put a
right.
capacitor on there, and then he probably put 208, 230 going to it, and then something crazy like that.
Speaking of exploding, on Facebook, I know I think they brought it up on Shop Talk the other day, but on Facebook they were talking about somebody had posted. I think it was on Uncensored. There was a tech that was doing something with the mini split. The mini split exploded and he died, and they showed the tech and everything. A lot of people were talking about it. You know, Ralph Wolf, all these guys, and they were saying that if you try to loosen one of the lines or whatever, if you disconnect the line while the mini split's running, it will blow up.
I followed that whole argument, and I even downloaded that bulletin that they had floating around in there about the diesel combustion effect.
That really does make me nervous. I mean, I commented on it too, because if you have a small mini split, you have 3/8 quarter-inch lines, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, my kids are animals. They're climbing on everything, especially when they were younger too, right? I used to climb. There's pictures of me when I was a kid climbing on the old air conditioner we had, you know, at my old house just growing up. So my point is, you have a kid like climbing on the side of it. How well do you think the quarter-inch flare is going to hold if a kid's like?
I thought that only happened when you pumped it down, though.
I don't know. They said when you disconnect. Well, that's what they said. I have no knowledge on why it happens or the science behind it, because I was actually wondering.
You need heat, fuel, and air to make it explode. So fitting cracks, you get air in there. You got heat, so I mean, assuming it's warm enough, compressor's warm enough to actually create enough heat to cause the explosion. Then your oil, that's your fuel right there.
Yeah.
But we have to. We might have to see about bringing Ralph in on a show sometime and picking his brain about that, because I'm super curious about the whole diesel combustion effect, because I've never heard of the diesel combustion effect before mini splits. But then when I did hear about it, that's the only segment of the industry that I hear about it on is mini splits. I never hear about it like on a walk-in cooler condensing unit exploding because somebody pumped it down and had air in the system.
Yeah, you're right, Bill.
Never ever heard of that, ever.
I know.
Is there something special about mini splits? I mean, I know they're flared in most of the time. I mean, other than that, though, is there something special about them? I'm pretty sure they use the same oil as like a walk-in cooler condenser or any other condenser out there.
It would be cool to have somebody explain to us how that actually happens, what happens, because it's kind of unnerving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I never work on mini splits, but
I try not to work on mini splits. I hate them.
I mean, my level of inexperience with mini splits, I'd walk up to them like, well, I don't know, let's pump it down and see what happens.
Pump it down, disconnect the lines.
Yeah, I get blown into the side of my
cigarette.
van.
Call it a day.
Change the system. Yeah, it's getting about past the halfway mark. If you want to share some viewer pictures, let's do it. Let's talk.
Well, speaking of explosions, why don't we start off with yours, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. Now, everybody watching this, you got to turn your computer sideways so you can view the picture how it should be viewed. Vertical pictures.
I take pictures turn
your computer on its side.
There we go. So Joe, I zoomed in on this one. I cheated because I didn't want to play with the picture.
That's a good idea.
What
No,
is that? What are we looking at here?
it's a capacitor. It was on
Oh,
a
yeah.
yeah. It's a 7.5 York Predator, I believe.
What is
Wasn't too
that?
recent.
Is that it looks like liquid magma coming out of the back of it.
Yeah, it exploded. It has that sticky, gooey. Listen,
Yeah,
guys, I don't know if you guys in chat.
fluid.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys. I don't experience too often. It's only a handful of times, and this is one of them. And that shit is sticky, hard to come off. And yeah, it was like a buckshot. It just exploded. It was nuts. It was a York. It was a 7.5. Look at that goo everywhere.
Wow.
Did you attempt to clean it off, or you just say screw it?
I tried to clean it.
Yeah,
but
I would have said it's a York. You just increase
No,
the property value of this thing.
Look at this name. It's a York Predator. Like who names?
As soon as you touch that schematic, it's just going to turn to dust anyway. So I just
Right.
leave it.
Exactly. Yeah, that I was very finicky about.
Is that a trap? What is that?
I don't know.
PVC.
I can't remember what that was now. I think it was just garbage, dude.
Why are you taking pictures of garbage? So what is this?
The capacitor is there, dude.
How many capacitors is this one that fell out of the back? Is that the same one we were looking at a minute ago?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because there's all different shots of different.
Yeah.
You
And you know what's
it is?
what's cool about it too is that it had a Bristol in it. You don't see too many Yorks with that. Like I don't see too many Yorks, and plus I don't deal with so much rooftops, but it still had those what is it, benchmark Bristols, whatever. I don't know, Bill, if you see them, those compressors.
I'm sure
think
I have.
Yeah, I don't think they make them anymore.
I've never seen a capacitor blow like that though.
Right? See,
I
so
mean,
it is rare. It's a rare
I've seen
thing.
it twice before. It's crazy.
Right.
The first time I saw it, I was like taken back. I was like, "What is this? Incredible!"
It'll swell up, split open, and dump some of the electrolytic oil out of it. But I've never seen it separate like that.
And you know what, too, dude? The good question. Maybe Big Clive can answer this. Why does it happen? Do you know why? Because I have no clue why. There could be possibilities why, but I don't know.
Yikes.
Yeah, that makes a good point. I forget what PCBs are, but I know they stopped putting PCBs in
Yeah,
capacitors.
Grandpa. Yeah.
Ever since
right.
the lifetime of capacitors has been cut way down.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that's why I wanted to share that.
So good job, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And it was the condenser fan capacitor, by the way.
While we're on you, I might as well. I don't know if you even remember this one, since this is from like 3 weeks ago.
This was one that was a little bit more recent. Around the same time, I guess.
Here you go.
Okay, so this I was taking advantage. I was at a condominium. I was here with the facility engineer, and I was videotaping. I was telling him videotaping for my boss, let him know what's going on. So over here, I go into the situation. I have kind of like, what am I getting myself into? What's going on here?
Hold on,
what the problem,
off, Joe? But did you purposely like get that stick to teach us?
Yeah, a pointer stick. So that's a diverter valve that's in the condo loop, and it separates the chilled water loop and the boiler loop. And what happened was this was still in heat mode for the winter time. The building loop was getting a little hot even when that was closed, so it was leaking by. So I was just showing my boss the runs that was going or whatever. So you'll see the cooling tower. It's a force blower. I forget what they're called. That's the cooling tower right there, and it has a water jet on top. Anyways, so it has another cooling loop that goes to this tower. So what I did is with the guy, because they have a module that tells you the temperature of the building loop. So what I did is I told him, why can't we divert some of that water to the cooling tower to let it cool off and come back to the building loop and see if that works? And it worked. So I just thought it was a good little go into a situation. These are the fins on top of the cooling tower outside. They were just stuck and had to loosen them up. But this is the control module that tells you your temperature of the building loop. And I think it's showing about 80. And that's where you kind of want the temperature, even like in any kind of, I guess, heat pump situation. You kind of want to heat 80 for the heating of AC. It's a good temperature. But so yeah, it was getting too hot. divert some of that water in the meantime until that's getting replaced to the cooling tower, and it got fixed. It's working so far, anyways.
Good
So
job,
that was
Joe.
So that was one of those situations you go in and thinking, what is going on here? You know, you got boilers, V's and boilers staring at you. You got pipes everywhere, but you know, if you just sit back and just, you know, you got a facility engineer who's helping you along the way, right? You're working as a team. You know, you get something solved in the meantime. So it's pretty cool.
So that was a great story. While we're on the topic of horizontal pictures,
Yeah.
Amazing.
we had a request. Our biggest fan wanted to show off his thermostat.
Did you get a new one?
April Air 8444. There it is.
You're right, Shannon.
That kind of looks like a new one.
What's the 7? What's the model number of that thing?
I don't know. I think it's April. What's the one that we talk about a lot?
4
8444.
something like that.
54. 104.
It made it on.
104. Good buddy. Hey man, you got to keep the people happy, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I just wanted to show that. That was a nice horizontal picture. And if you'd like to see another nice horizontal picture, I can show you that one. He sent another picture of his filter. But he's a pretty good photographer with his he turns his camera sideways.
Adam's trying to make a point to you guys. Okay, Randy is doing horizontal pictures, the right protocol, and I am doing vertical.
What an ape.
Yeah, I know.
The filter looked pretty clean though.
Yeah, it was
It
brand
did,
new.
Randy. You're staying on top of it.
Those floor returns are, dust magnets.
There you go. Steve is saying it's 8444.
Very good.
And Shannon, they know.
Ted sent in a couple cool pictures.
Cool.
So the first one is I believe it's a state water heater. This is what I believe. I don't think State made these originally. I think they made them to replace Apollo water heaters. So check out that flue, how it runs downhill.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the picture. But anyways, those are actually very difficult to install. If anyone's ever done them, they give you that flexible pipe, and it's actually a concentric that runs through the wall. And there's another pipe inside of that pipe, a flexible pipe inside of that pipe, and you have to connect both of them. It's very difficult to do, but obviously.
So like it was intake and exhaust in that? You're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So why is there an expansion tank there? I don't get it. Why is that?
There's probably a backflow preventer. Some
okay.
some areas require backflow preventers on the cold line.
You know, I was at actually a boiler. Who made this boiler? It was some no name. It was custom home, and the guy was saying I didn't install it, but the guy was saying I was doing some other stuff there, and the guy was saying the Enercare guy. I shouldn't say names. The gas utility company came by and said they're not going to pass the house because it needs a trap. And I was saying, what trap? Where? I don't know anything about a trap, but apparently I guess the flue, when it's not sloped the right way, the manufacturer wants you to install a trap, which allows you to put a trap and he will pass it. So you need a trap on the flue, which I never seen
for
before.
a condensing appliance.
Yes,
oh, dude, I've done that a bunch of times. When you're in
I've never done it.
It shows it in the vent tables. They show you could do it. If you don't have enough height to get out, you could always drop back down, do a vent tee. It has to be a trapped vent tee.
That's right.
Right? And then you have to drain it out, and then you can rise back up again.
The thing is, when I'm gonna install a unit, and that's something I know sometimes it's unpredictable. It's gonna happen, but I try to make it that I know my route. You know what I mean? I'm looking before.
Sometimes you run into crazy situations.
For sure.
I just did one about a little over a year ago that I had to do it. I don't do it very often. I've probably done it 3 or 4 times, but that's it.
And this is a custom home. It should have been known. You know, he had in frames. Right. He should have done it right. But anyway, sorry to cut you off with the pictures.
So yeah, speaking of custom home, check out this custom condenser
Good
pad.
old wood.
Yeah, it's That's the crate. That's the crate. Very nice. Wow. It's a Goodman dealer. Why does it always have to be Goodman when you see crap like that? You know, it's always got to be Goodman.
Staged. Yeah.
It's like there's a bunch of fake dudes out there. There's a bunch of
Like a
train dealers.
conspiracy against Goodman.
There's train dealers, and they're just buying Goodman units to do. They do some crazy crap, and then they post it online. They're like, "Look at these things," you know. I think Ted installed that one.
Yeah,
Just so he could
Ted
post
put
a
his
picture.
famous wooden thing. I was trying to get the prices. Maybe we'll save for next show. I got a bunch of prices because I got 2 side little things. I got to do a 3-ton and a 1-ton. I was like I mentioned, and I got all kinds of prices for all these names that you guys will probably know. I don't know.
Well, don't forget when you go to take your picture, lay down.
Yeah. Arco Air, Lux Air, Keep Right, Goodman. I got all the prices and all those names, and I'll tell you what I pick after for both of the people, for the price and for, I guess, quality.
Don't do York.
That's one of the prices I got too. Not York, but Coleman, and what's the other one?
Lux Air.
Yeah, Flux Air.
So
But,
backwards
yeah.
shirt McGee, back on water heaters.
Backwards shirts, vertical pictures.
I thought it was nobody would have noticed. Nobody would have noticed today. Okay, my backward
No,
t-shirt.
that's true.
Adam had
Nobody
to
would
point
have
it
noticed.
out.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Sometimes
So with your shirt on backwards, you like put your deodorant like on your back or something to make it like,
under my other armpits.
yeah.
Do you remember that rap group, the kids back in the early '90s?
Crisscross.
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 That's Joe.
Yeah.
Crisscross will make you
Joe,
jump.
let's see your pants. Are you doing that too? But they were their hats backwards, so
Yeah, they wore their pants backwards too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Everything was.
You know how uncomfortable that had to have been?
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't want to start talking about 90s rap, but they
Yeah.
had some doozies back there, man. Like Shaq rapping,
Oh,
Come on, dude.
Crisscross.
I missed
They were the
bus.
best. They were the best techs in the company, Bill. Come on. Go in and
All
work
right.
with their pants backwards. They're the best.
All right, Joe. So I wanted to show my brother sent me 2 pictures of the same thing. Here you go. What do you think of this? He made this up, did the copper piping in the fab shop. These are 3, supposedly, he said they're like
3-inch?
instantaneous. I think it's bigger than 3-inch. That looks like 2-inch coming out of the back side of the
Oh wow.
tanks. So that's some massive pipe. That he said they're like instantaneous water heaters for like a big commercial building. 3 of them tied together. Look at the
Yeah,
flange. How they put the flange on there, and that I
Yeah.
think the other side of that flange is just to hold it kind of steady and in place. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
I would love to do that, like hydronic setups or refrigeration that's bigger piping that you could station it in your garage, but sometimes it's just not practical.
Yeah, see, I like what I do as far as, HVAC refrigeration and whatnot, but it would be much better if I could just work in a shop and people just brought the stuff to me to fix.
Absolutely.
Like, just bring your walk-in
Yeah,
cooler
but-
right to my shop.
the grass is always greener. I know they keep pushing him. He's good at what he does, and he's one of the fastest at the shop. And they keep pushing him. You need to do more. Why can't you do more? And he's like, he's doing twice as much as the other guys.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Tell them to look for greener pastures.
yeah.
Yeah. They looked like Wiesmans, to be honest with you, but I don't think they were.
We have something here from our favorite friend of the show from south of the border.
Yummy.
Oh, is that Yamo's picture?
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
unit
Look at that
crap.
blazing
compressor
cold
he
solder.
installed last week.
Man. That looks like lava coming out of an underwater volcano.
I mean,
Good
correct me if I'm
Lord.
wrong. That top line, it almost looks like it could be 3/8, but it might be 1/2 inch. But
Half-inch, yeah.
how hard is it to braze like even
I
1/2
know.
inch?
You know what they're using, dude? The cheapest propane. That's the thing, because maybe they just can't afford it. Yeah.
And if that bottom line, I mean, look at the compressor. Look at the size of the compressor. Look at the cotter pins. That might be
Yeah.
1/4 inch on the bottom.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
might be right.
you're probably right. Yeah.
How would you mess up a 1/4 inch braze?
You could probably blow on it on a sick day.
It's Mexico, man.
Dude, I think you can get a Bic lighter out and you do a 1/4 inch braze.
Bic later.
I mean, he probably had like 3% silver solder. I don't know, just some cheap little torch or something.
It's messed up.
And then what else we got here? I want to say
Probably trying
did
to
this?
weld that with a stick with fire on the end of it.
Trent. I believe this was Trent. Was it
Who the
Trent
hell's
that sent us
Trent?
this? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. This is from like a month ago now. Okay. So this is a Train rooftop unit with pneumatic controls which modulate the fins when the fan is on. And that was like prior to, obviously, VFD drives. That's their...
It modulates the fins on that blower?
Yep.
That's amazing. I never even heard of such a thing.
I know.
Neither have I. And that looks like one of those old like GE fans that you see in the you know, the old time movies.
Yeah. Wow.
How hard do you think that fan is to change out? I mean, look at that. It looks like you got to take that whole, I don't know, whatever
Subframe, wherever it is.
whatever that frame thing is apart. You got to
Yeah.
take the whole damn thing off there and got the damn machine.
I don't
Yep.
know. Still working. Just leave it. Don't fix it.
Wow.
Keep it going.
Did he happen to say how old that unit is?
I don't know. I did not write it down in my notes. Sorry.
That's all right.
And then, if I remember correctly, which I don't have this in my notes either. Yes, I do. Scott. The current refrigerant colors at the top of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
The new refrigerant colors at the bottom of the screen.
What?
Interesting.
Not really interesting. Really,
That's weird.
Is that because all the colorblind people were just being pissed off about that whole thing?
I don't know. I don't know what
knows?
it is. Like, you know, people are like they want to color coordinate their truck a little bit nicer. What the deal is, but I mean, think about if it's in a rack. It's going to be difficult to figure out. You're going to be pulling all the refrigerants out unless you have a
That's
dedicated.
a good point, yeah. Unless you
You
can
know?
see the side or something like
Right.
that.
I would almost want to just get a couple cans of spray paint that you keep in your truck, and when you get a
I
jug,
totally spray paint it.
put a pink dot on the top of
What
R410.
would be the purpose of
you know?
changing the colors to a standard gray canister? What's the purpose of that?
I don't know. Color coordination.
That's-
Maybe
It's
cost
about-
effective for the manufacturer because they don't have to paint a bunch of different cans. They just print, the tag on the side or whatever.
Yeah, because they weren't making enough money 2 or 3 years ago when they were charging $1,000 a drum for R22.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like something Blue On would think of.
Well,
Yeah.
what we have to look forward to, right?
Man.
Same color, bland tanks.
Oh no, Mr. Savanovich in the chat here makes a good point. The colors are all the same because California said it was racist and caused abortions.
That's a good point, Tech.
So he's
That's a
probably
good
right.
point. Yeah. Maybe Chris knows a little bit about that.
Yeah. About
Oh,
the
Chris. Oh,
Chris
thought the other
Stavanovich.
Tech did it. Gotcha.
How's the stream been going? That's what my question is, because
Good.
I can't see
No
it. I'm not
lagging yet.
monitoring YouTube. We're good?
You know,
Yeah, we're good so far.
Tommy made another good point, guys. Too many refrigerants, they ran out of colors.
Well, they could start multicoloring, do stripes,
Oh,
plaid.
yeah,
Polka
rainbows
dots.
in your cars
Yeah, polka dots and stripes,
because of 5G.
Yeah, it's because of 5G. We can't have colors anymore. I mean, because of 5G, we're not going to need colors because all those 5G waves are going to hit our brain and we're all going to go colorblind anyway.
It's possible.
So we're going to walk around and it's going to look like we're looking through the sunglasses off the movie They Live.
There's supposed to be a lot more towers. That's what I heard from a computer guy. That's what everyone's more upset about, is they're all over. They're going to be every like 2 blocks. There's going to be a tower now.
I'm sure you guys probably seen this on Facebook at least at some point in time where they have these cell phone towers that are disguised as trees.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen those?
No.
Check
that's
this out.
scary.
You know what's funny? A church that I do work on in Chicago, right in the middle of a neighborhood in Chicago, they put up a cell phone tower right in the center of the front of the building, and they shaped it like a steeple.
Oh my gosh.
That's weird.
It's a cell phone
that's
tower.
so weird.
Yeah.
Like if you're hiding at white, I don't know, man. That's weird.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
So
There's a lot of conspiracy theories about those cell phone towers that look like trees, and I think that's been around for quite some time. It's not really like a 5G thing.
that's a 4G thing, people. Get it together.
It's like a 2G thing, probably.
Do you guys have anything planned for this week, like work wise? You guys know what you're up against?
Yeah.
I got a couple things going on. I get to do another visit out to that walk-in freezer that's that neither
Frozen.
I nor the manufacturer can figure out why it's having such a hard time with defrosts.
Mm.
I'm
Wait,
sort of putting a video together about the whole situation, but
well, if you keep on listening to that manufacturer on the phone, you'll replace everything.
well,
It's the same one.
the
Yeah.
manufacturer, honestly, in my opinion, judging by how they talk to me, is starting to think that I'm not the guy for the job. So I think the next step for them is probably to call another company out, maybe. Because the guy kind of got offended when I told him, like I said, I think it's a design issue.
Well, yeah.
And the guy's like, well, if that's the case, then why do we have 11,000 other evaporators out there that are in the same situation working just fine? I'm like, I don't know, bud. You tell me. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
understand why this one's not working the way it should, but I can
Yeah.
tell you the way the coil's laid out, and I know I'm going to get off into a little bit of a boring rant here, but the way the coil's laid out with the defrost heaters on the very back face of the coil and your defrost termination switch in the very front of the coil, I understand what they're trying to do. They want the heat to go through the coil, hit that defrost termination switch
Yeah.
before the termination switch kicks it out to defrost. But the problem is a majority of the heat, probably 70% of the heat goes off the back and it goes up into the wall. And I know
Yeah.
I've been
You
measuring
see it.
yeah, I've been measuring the air around the evaporator, in front of it, behind it, on the sides. I've been measuring the air during the defrosts. I got in about a foot behind the evaporator, up on the ceiling, about 6 inches away from the ceiling. I got 120-degree air on the wall.
What?
Yeah, from all the heat from the defrost heaters. And right next to my defrost termination switch, the surface that it's mounted to is 38 degrees, and the air around it is only 60 degrees. I'm like, well, that's why it's not kicking on a defrost. He's like, well, change the defrost termination switch. I'm like, it's not the problem. I changed it, had the same problem. And then he's like, well, it's got to be your defrost clock. I'm like, it's not the defrost clock because the termination switch isn't telling the defrost
How
clock.
is it supposed to draw through? Is there a fan? Like, what's happening? How does it draw through the heat? What do you think what did they say the design is? How is it drawing the heat?
Or it's mounted. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, they just say natural convection. The heat should rise up and then slowly rise through the evaporator. There's nothing that'll actually move the heat though, because I even suggested, I've never seen this or done this before, but I've heard people telling me about it, that because this evaporator coil has a capability of making the fans go on high speed and low speed.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, last time I told this story, I broke the internet, so keep an eye on the screen, see if we're going to start lagging.
I think that's when everyone was signing off last time.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Bill's talking.
Here we go again.
So you said evaporator with modulating fan speed?
Yeah, the fans can go high speed or low speed.
Okay.
That's an option they have just for the Energy Star rating.
Gotcha.
And I suggested, like, hey, how do we rig it up so the fans go in low speed during defrost? It'll draw some of that heat through. I mean,
Sure.
ideally, you don't want to do that because you're just dumping heat onto the product and into the box. You know, you don't want to do that.
Sure.
Like in this situation where all of my heat is just going out the back of the evaporator coil, hitting the ceiling and the walls and making the walls sweat.
So what turns on the heaters?
A defrost clock.
Defrost clock. That's the whole point.
Okay,
Nice.
so I mean, you could do it, right? I mean, you could do it as an experiment.
I could, but you know, the thing that I suggested to them that would be even better, which they didn't like this idea at all either, was taking a I don't know, like a Ranco controller or a KE2 controller, something that's got an actual probe I can stick into the evaporator coil, and that will control my defrost cycle in place of the defrost clock, because that probe is inside the evaporator and it can sense when the defrost or when the evaporator is at a certain temperature.
But,
And
okay.
they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Then I was like, well, how about you take the defrost termination switch and you mount it on one of the return bends of the evaporator coil? They're like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, well, whatever then. And at that point, honestly, I'm like, you just tell me what to do then. You send me a bunch of parts, I'll put them on, and you pay me.
You know, I think you should just take the initial. You know, it's not screw, but who cares what they're saying? If you want to get it fixed, I think you should just experiment yourself. And
during one of my visits, I set the defrost clock to defrost 6 times per day at 15 minutes per defrost.
Yeah.
And I went back a week later, and the frost problem was cured.
There you go. Okay, so that's telling you already.
When I went back, that was the trip to replace the defrost clock. So I told the manufacturer, like, hey, shorter defrosts are working because your defrost termination switch isn't doing its job. So they're like, no, replace the defrost clock, set it back up for 4 defrosts at 30-minute intervals.
Did you talk to Stefanovic about this?
I did. I've talked to him in depth about it, and
what's his opinion?
We have a lot of the same ideas on the subject. I'm sure when he sees the video, he's gonna call me immediately and be, come up with some awesome idea.
Thinking about you'll probably thinking about it, Bill. Now that you said that, it's just
Sometimes I do crazy things like that. Me and Joe were actually talking about that geothermal job. There's a pottery room there with a kiln, and we are isolating the room when they're firing, right? And they're hooking up kind of a mini split, kind of not a mini split, but like a modified version. There's a company that makes custom versions of them, But anyway, they were just going to do a regular style condenser and dump the heat in the garage. So I had the idea of why don't we use a liquid cool condenser, and we could recirculate the water glycol mix into the buffer tank and use it for DHW or radiant heat. And at first the engineer was like, "That's an awesome idea. I love that." And I told them, what was the other thing? I said, if the buffer tank gets too hot, you could always run the water source heat pump and dissipate the water into the ground. That was actually Jim Bergman's idea. I had a couple of other ideas similar. I was going to use a combination of the radiant and the snow melt to move the heat around.
cool.
But Jim Bergman said, "Why don't you just turn on the heat pump? The geothermal." But anyways, the guy came back and he's like, this is just getting too complicated. We're just going to use a regular mini split in that room. That's it. And I'm like,
That's what I was thinking. Just a little small mini split.
Yeah.
Why not?
Screw it.
Hey, what's up, Mr. L, mechanical design / building HVAC contractor? That's a long air right there, bud.
I don't know if you can have a name that long.
No, I almost passed out halfway through saying that.
Maybe we could ask him for a heat load.
Speaking of that, man, I still got to get I got to get somebody to do my heat load calculation. Hey, anybody listening out there, do you guys have access to RightSoft software?
Yeah. Any of them? There's a few.
I need a heat load calculation, a proper heat load calculation done on my house.
Want it done right. Garbage in, garbage out, right? That's what
garbage
they say.
Out. I got a boiler, and I want to get rid of my boiler. To be honest with you, I want forced air. I want to hear that air rush around my house so I can sleep better at night instead of all this.
I think he should keep the boiler, and he's worried about ductwork and sizing and all that. He should just go with the freaking high velocity system like a Unico and put a hot water coil in it, and then he's got his forced air. He has the boiler.
I agree.
And he's got air conditioning,
Bill.
right?
That's way too crazy.
And the ductwork is super easy to do. It's all these little tubes. You just run them around, and that's it.
Skinny, Bill. Skinny. You don't have to do
2-inch.
Big construction.
I already got brand new Sawzall blades.
You don't want to Sawzall plaster, dude.
Just get the chainsaw out, dude. Get the chainsaw. It's much easier.
All of these boilers out, and I'm gonna smash them to pieces and throw them out the window.
Look, everybody in chat, Master, Tech.
Keep the boiler.
They're all saying keep the boiler.
They're all boiler techs.
Susie, geothermal, heat pump. That's a good idea as well.
I don't think Susie's a boiler girl. All the rest of
geothermal's even better. Why not? Go for it.
Yeah, do it.
Boiler backup.
You know what, Bill? If you could pull it off, the geothermal, if you could do the ductwork for your house for forced air, I'm not sure what your utility company does around you, but I was talking to my utility company, and they said I could write myself an invoice, and I hired my company and write it for what you would normally charge. And the feds still have I think it's 25, 26%, and they're trying to get it back up to 30%. You could potentially get it for next to nothing.
Wow. Rebate.
Yeah. And you got to dig up a big old hole in your backyard.
Just
don't you?
drill it.
Yeah, you do the drill. There's a couple methods, dude. It's a good
I'd
project.
Go to the forced air. Forced air is a hard enough project alone. You want me to put in a geothermal system?
And it can heat your domestic as well at the same time.
I just bought a brand new water heater.
Are you renting it?
Am I renting the water heater?
Yeah.
You can rent water heaters?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, how pure you can rent water heaters.
Who rents water heaters? I actually had that idea.
You guys don't do that?
No, I had that idea I was thinking somebody that can't afford a furnace.
There's big companies here that's their thing. They rent out their stuff, so you don't have to buy it.
You just charge them.
You just pay monthly and you rent it out. Either hot water,
$50 a month.
Like one of those renting places, huh?
Big
Definitely
companies.
Forever.
All the numbers, bud. Making money.
You don't pay, and they come and take out your water heater.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna get in your house though. You know,
you have to let them come in and take it.
We had a problem with a tenant. I had a house I was renting for a long time, and we had a problem with them never paying. It was always
Nate.
It was always a big issue, and I had an idea. Joe, you know those little, you could buy those little transmitter things that are like the alarms on your car, and you could program them to do different things. There's a receiver, and you could have it set up with like a relay.
Yeah.
I thought get a residential, bronze, whatever, residential zone valve, put it on the water main, and box it in the floor joist, and then run power to it. And when they don't pay their bill, just drive by the house and boop, boop.
Why are you going to give government ideas, dude? Or not government, but these big companies' ideas.
That's what they're going to do one day.
Just
I know,
it off.
Bill. You're right.
Just drive right by and turn it off. That was listen, here's the thing. When you own a house and you're responsible for paying on the house and you have somebody not paying you, that hurts.
Oh, true.
Right?
It's a big pain in the ass. I used to have a rental house too, and it was just a pain in the ass. But it really shows that you really need to vet your
tenants. But it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very hard. Where actually, before we have to go, didn't they do this already, Adam or Bill? Didn't they do this to the AC side? They used to. I know over here they do it on the government housing. They put some kind of monitor that they could phase out your AC outside. They shut off your AC.
Do that. The utility companies do it by us, where they give you a discount, and during high usage periods, they'll cycle off your unit for short periods of time. Yeah. So when I'm replacing a unit, when we're doing a job, even if it's a service call, because a lot of times when you pop the disconnect in, then you got to go for it's like a 10-minute pause where you're waiting, So a lot of times when I'm working on it, I just disconnect them. And I tell the people, I can't work on a unit that has this thing on it, and I can't reinstall it on a new system that I'm installing. So I just disconnect it. I say, if you want it back on, call ComEd, call ComEd, have them install it. But they're a pain in the butt.
Oh, there's another idea for you: combi boiler, combi unit for your radiant and your domestic.
Yeah, if he doesn't like cast iron, he's definitely not going to go for a combi.
I like how cast iron looks. I like my antique radiators; they look awesome. They're original to the house. But what I just don't like is the potential of all that water all throughout my whole house leaking one day.
It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's all. It's my experience anyway.
And it's water. It's not steam, right?
Rust from the inside out.
As long as you keep the water in for a long period of time and you're not draining it and adding new water, you don't have to really worry about anything.
Spinning wheel of death.
Okay, that's like an hour. It's like a deadline. Well, we were at that time anyways. At least we got an hour out of it. I don't know what's going on here.
It doesn't show we're...
Oh, we're back online. We're back online. Nope, we're off. Nope, we're on, off. Anyways, let's wrap it up. Let's leave on a good note, okay?
Are we on or off?
I think we're on still. We're on. We came back.
Boilers. That's what happens. No more boiler talk.
Okay, you know what? It's summertime. We can't talk about boilers.
Big class red. It is my voice that's breaking it.
Please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. What does that mean?
No idea.
Keyframes are not being sent often enough. What are keyframes?
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up before the internet really breaks.
Good idea.
Hey, guys. Thanks for coming out and watching us, hanging out with us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Shout out to all you guys. Don't forget Mother's Day this weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there listening. And, assuming we have internet next week, we will see you guys right back here. Same time, same place on the HVAC Overtime channel.
Stay clean. What?